And
Yep.
thank you for everybody who joined the call today. I'm really excited about this one. So this proposal just hit Snapshot this morning. So I want to hear, everybody's opinions on this. Kevin, you've been working so hard on this. I'm really grateful to you for joining us and helping us really gain a better understanding of what this is and the results and everything else. So thank
Sure. Thanks
you
for
for
having
being
me.
here. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's just start with anybody who might be unfamiliar with what the fast lane proposal was, what the fast lane is. Let's start there.
Sure. So the fast lane is, well, now it's a combination of a open source smart contract that anyone can call to execute arbitrage trades on Bancor. And what makes it special is that it gets an exemption to the fees that it pays on Bancor. So uh, it like has an advantage over someone who is not using that and executing arbitrage trades without that. And uh, for doing that, for getting that discount, it confiscates a percentage of the BNT that it earns from the arbitrage trades and uses it and burns it, which will help the deficit.
Perfect. And then it was the last community call that you joined me on, where you had
Yeah.
announced that an Arb bot was being developed. It was going to be open source, available to everyone as well. And this was going to be used to complement the contracts that were created. So that's been in testing on V2.1. I saw in the channels this morning, there were some, it looked like somebody had noticed that these transactions that were being shared and like the announcements was the actual fast lane as well, right? So it looked like it was being tested on V3 right now. And we had some results. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, that's correct. Uh, it's being sorry, I'm a little flustered.
No, you're
It's
good.
being tested on V3, um, and I'm actually just trying desperately to find the stats we have right now. But yeah, it's been very, very promising in terms of results.
I'm looking at the proposal right now. So initially it was a 90-10 split, right? 90% of the profit was going to be burned and used to buy and burn, or I'm sorry, 90% of the profit was going to buying and burning BNT to alleviate the deficit, and 10% was going to whoever was calling this trade, right? These contracts.
Yeah,
The proposal is looking to adjust that to a 50-50. So
yeah.
I think you would probably be best to speak with or to ask about. And I noticed that you had some comments there, some questions and comments from the community, from DAO members on, what their thoughts were and what this means for the BNT that's going to be going out on the market, the BNT that's going to be burned. I know that you voiced your opinion there.
Mhm.
Maybe you can give us a little bit more here on the call.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So in testing, we saw that the the gas cost of calling the contract could be significant. And so to sort of make it much more likely or much easier to have a profitable arbitrage transaction when accounting for gas, we've suggested to or put up to a vote to change the reward percentage to 50%. And that should make it like a much lower threshold required to be able to execute these transactions profitably. And I want to say yeah, it's much more sustainable. You know, it's tough to put an exact percentage on what the right amount is, but we found that 10% was significantly too low.
Right.
Um, and I just to really quickly address, I saw some people voicing their concerns that, well, if 50% goes to the arbitrageur and they turn around and sell that for ETH, where like, is there any benefit still for Bancor? And the answer is Absolutely, yes. There's still a massive benefit for Bancor because keep in mind, none of these arbitrage profits were being kept within the Bancor ecosystem before.
Right.
So this is a huge improvement. And also, mind you, every time that contract is called, 50% of the reward is literally being burned, like BNT eliminated forever.
Right. No, and
Yeah.
that is not something that any of us are taking lightly here. I mean, I think this was kind of the goal of the carbon fees and the fast lane proposal right from the get-go,
Hmm.
buying and burning the BNT and alleviating the deficit. And I completely understand about it being self-sustaining. This is kind of the idea behind the business model in carbon as well. You know, we wanted to have this self-sustaining protocol. So I understand that. I want to open to anybody who's here. I don't just want it to be a Kevin and I sort of discussion here, but this is a DAO discussion. And anybody who's on here who has, Rick, I see you raised your hand. So I want to bring you up and I want to encourage everybody to come up here and participate in the discussion. And I mean, this is open for debate, of course. Paper Street, I'm going to bring you up here as well. Rick, if you want to go ahead and jump in, please do.
Okay, so I'm going to show a little bit of my ignorance here. I understand the high concept of what this does. I guess my big question is maybe if you could, Kevin, explain a little bit as to who are really the targets that are going to see this and use it, because although I know what it does, I am not one of those people that would say, oh, this is something that I can go do, because I'm not sure exactly how it functions and that kind of thing. So could you maybe identify who the opportunists are that are going to be able to benefit from this as far as the actual executing of it?
Sure. So running it definitely requires a little bit of technical experience. Though, we should be able to lower that threshold with a little like technical explainers. But it definitely like is expected that the people running it would have some technical knowledge, to be able to set up the project. Um, as far as who these people are, I would say it could be either interested DAO members or potentially other people just generally interested in arbitrage. Um, like the real purpose behind this isn't to generate arbitrage profits for the person calling it, right? Like the idea here is to have another mechanism to burn BNT. So it isn't really for those people who are trying to just chase profits. Um,
This
that
is,
being
it
said,
sounds like it's
yeah,
more,
sorry.
oh, sorry. No. I was going to say, it sounds like it's more for, I mean, this is something that the DAO can benefit from and the more technical savvy DAO members can take advantage of. This is something that's there where they can actively participate and add to the um, success of the protocol, I guess the sustainability of this and alleviating the deficit also is kind of what I'm thinking this appeals
100%.
to, you know? I know we said it's going to be, you're going to be interacting on the smart contract level. There's not going to be like a UI for it. So those that understand that and want to help better the situation that we're in currently are able to do so. It's a tool for them.
Cool.
Yep,
That's
I
what I was
think
looking for. I figure there's probably people like me out there that are going, hey, this sounds cool, but it's not something I'm going to use. So who's really going to be excited about using this, and so that it does actually get used? That's what I was trying to get at. But thank you.
sure. I want to add that while there is some technical knowledge required to set it up, it's not extensive. Like if you had your heart set on doing it yourself, I believe most people could get it set up, maybe with a little help.
Kevin, is it something that you might be able to, I know you have so much on your plate, I'm sure. So maybe I'm asking too much, but is it something that we might be able to, you specifically might be able to kind of make like a sort of guidance something on? So because like I'm with Rick. This isn't something that I would personally be able to do at the moment, but something that I would like to do as a DAO member that wants to be as active and as supportive as possible.
Yeah, I it's definitely feasible. I don't want to commit right this second, but I'm not
Right.
opposed to it. And if there's like interest in people who would like to run it, but need that, then I'm happy to help address that.
I understand. Cool. Thank you. Paper Street.
Hey, hey.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. What's your take here on the proposal of 90-10 to 50-50 and what we've, learned so far all the details were kind of included in the proposal. Curious to hear your thoughts.
So I pulled up the stats on what it's done so far. And, I've been kind of keeping an eye on that Etherscan ever since that was somewhat made public on the governance. It's really exciting to see how efficient this burning mechanism is. Just looking at all right, so you've had 63 transactions since the proposal or since the post, and you're burning an average of 78 BNT every time. That's really interesting. And so I'm perfectly fine with it being 50-50, just like how Kevin was saying. It's you really want this to be sustainable and to allow it to cover gas. And but also if you just kind of model it out of over a year or two, this could really do a lot of burning very quietly. So that part I'm really excited about. And so just a big thanks to everyone who put this together, and Kevin and anybody else that was involved. It's really something special. So, and I think it kind of flies under the radar with everything else that's going on, but I'm excited. So I was the first to vote this morning. I was like, screw it, it's like 7:00, let's go. So I'm pumped.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And it's nice to see the results, what the stats are. And it's nice to know, we've spoken about how this isn't just going to be V2.1, V3. This is also carbon when carbon launches. So I would expect to see those numbers increase as well, even with that 50-50. Thanks so much for joining the discussion always, and especially for voting. Like I said earlier, it just went to snapshot, so it's important that we all do. Asaf, you wanted to join in. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, Kevin, you were saying something before about the for-profit, not for-profit. The point of changing the setup from 90-10 to 50-50 is really to gear up to make it profitable. So everyone that's lurking around in crypto and trying to make profit for themselves, they can actually have visibility on this. And it makes sense to them to start joining the effort. Now, the effort is mutual in a sense. They benefit and we benefit, right? They have an open source system that they can tap into and trigger different Arb opportunities based on all the information is going to be available. And at the same time, the protocol gets burned or gets to benefit from burning BNT as it goes along. So we need to be we need to really be aware of this. This is for profit. And we are targeting these guys that are currently doing it on other places and other protocols, and maybe skip over Bancor at this stage. And we want to make sure that they have visibility on us.
Yeah, you make a great point, Asaf. Completely agree.
And I noticed on the proposal too, there are going to be additional exchanges added. So it's, balancer curve, and then we had mentioned carbon as well. So it'll be kind of a work in progress, I guess, which is nice, but it's also open source. So it can be a work in progress really for anyone, I think, as well, to kind of build with and use as kind of their foundation work, their framework for this bot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If I can speak to that for a second.
Of course you can.
Thanks. So it's extremely exciting what we're really on the verge of open sourcing. By the way, we expect that to happen very soon. But I just want to mention that this is actual real a real arbitrage framework. It's set up to work on Bancor, but I believe it has real value for people looking to arbitrage or get into arbitrage. So the system that's been created is really I'm very excited about it. I think and hope that other people will find a lot of value in it as well.
Well, and it's nice because it's us as a DAO offering this value to Bancor and to our protocols, but it's also kind of putting us back out there as this is something that we've created and something that can be useful in the industry, to others as well. And I think that's been a main focus of Bancor from the beginning. Was it's not just us, it's the industry that we want to see kind of move forward. And so to continue having these different, we call this framework. So the different protocols, the different trading abilities, this framework to offer, I think is valuable in and of itself. Never mind the value that we're directly bringing and keeping within the protocol as well. I want to hear
completely
from,
agree.
is anybody here, I want to look through the actual comments, and Kevin, I'm going to ask you about them. I think the main thing was really like the pushback on this discussion was really just that BNT going back out into the market. But when you're looking at 50% versus 100%, and having this actually be self-sustainable, I don't know if there's much of a question there still when you consider what the other options are. I think it's also would be fantastic, like we said earlier when Rick was asking about who would be doing this, to have it be our own DAO members. And if, like you said, this isn't something that really needs to be for the technical savvy, like I was originally thinking, if it's a little bit less than that and it's a little bit more approachable, then I feel like our own DAO members, we can do this and we can kind of build ourselves up, not only knowledge-wise, but with what we can acquire from doing this as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason I said it requires some technical knowledge is you need a place to run this code. It doesn't come with a UI,
Right.
as you mentioned. But beyond that, if you can get that set up, it's mostly like doing a little configuration and that setting up what you want. Aside from that, it can pretty much just run.
Yeah, see, I think that's exciting and it's approachable and it's valuable. So what are the next step then? You said that this could be open sourced soon. We all know this, the soon meme, right? So I won't ask you for anything. Obviously, we have to wait for the results of the actual proposal. Does it depend on the proposal itself to be open sourced? We probably have to make that change from the 90-10 to the 50-50 before open sourcing this.
I don't believe it depends on the proposal finishing before it can be open sourced.
Okay, so it's when it's ready, it will be.
Yeah.
Two separate things. One doesn't depend on the other.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to add anything else to it? I know that you've been working so hard on this, so you really spoke to it a lot on the last community call. If there's anything else that you want to add aside from what the actual proposal is stating.
Sure. I mean, I think I've said most of what I wanted to say, but I can briefly just mention that it's very exciting to you said it yourself earlier. Just it's very exciting to see this when Carbon becomes live as well. To have this arbitrage bot doing these arbitrage trades on with Carbon, like I'm just so over the moon excited to get to do that.
It's awesome. I won't ask when Carbon. I already asked when open source, so we'll leave that out of it. But I'm looking forward to, personally looking forward to this, actually going live and Carbon as well. I want to, before we end this though, I want to ask anybody who one is up here and who hasn't joined the discussion, if you have any questions on this. You've got Kevin here and he's been working so hard on it. He's definitely the best person to address your questions to. So I want to kind of open it back up and make sure everybody knows that we want to hear from you, whether it's comments or questions regarding the fast lane, the contracts, the bot, the split, any of the above. I feel like Paper Street is going to reach out. He's going to try to run this. He was in there and running all of his own simulations and setting up the simulator when we opened that up. So I'm looking forward to seeing if you are Will.
You know,
Paper, if you want some help getting it set up, let me know.
Oh man, I put Mark through so much trying to get me set up on like just Python. Was like that poor guy. So, but I did have a question on kind of the scale of this, because this seems kind of like the first iteration where you can expand to different chains and like kind of the call structure, meaning like the Ethereum gas seems to be the biggest hitch right now. Can it go to other cheaper chains to kind of arb there, or is there a way as this grows into Carbon and other places? Is it relying on like where V2 V3
That's such a great
is?
question.
Yeah,
like if Carbon is to go multi-chain, at some point, and we've spoken about this before, I think we all want to see it go somewhere, in addition to Ethereum. Are you asking, like, is it reliant on V2.1, V3? And is it obligated to Ethereum, or can this kind of transfer over to another chain as well? Is that what you're
really
asking?
It's like a scale question, meaning I'm feeding off your excitement, and I'm trying to fill out the colors here of as it grows and as everything else grows, where, like, how efficiently does this scale with cheaper chains, or does it just grow on its own?
Okay, well, it certainly would be able to perform arbitrage trades, with much less price variance on cheaper chains. That's definitely a big limiting factor on mainnet. I will say that right now it is configured around Bancor v2.1 and v3, but that, as version 1.0. That being said, we certainly had in mind that this could perhaps go to other chains, and without making any promises, anything is possible.
The minute you said like version 1, that was it. Now you've got you've at least got my mind going. Now I'm even excited too. Like, I want to see what this goes into with people building on top of it, and then with you building it out also. Will, did that answer your question? I know you're unmuted.
Yeah, I was kind of putting him on the spot. It was just that's what I was thinking of, kind of thinking through of how big this can get and how to scale it. And it's already, I hope it doesn't get lost in everybody, like how much burning this is already doing. And, it's
the potential.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I do feed off of excitement. And so I've been watching it about every day and really just kind of, just seeing the potential of this. And it's like, okay, I see it. But I just want to make sure I'm not, limiting kind of the vision of it. And, but I guess that's still we'll find out more as Carbon gets up running, and then as it grows. And obviously you have a lot on your plate, but I'll ask you every other day about it. So.
Hey, no problem.
Well, and we had spoken about this also, Kevin. I think the last time on the community call, the amount of arbitrage volume in 2022 was AgenFi that did one of these reports. And I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 450 million in volume on Bancor alone for the year. And I think it was like 200 right. something for the ETH USD something pool, or the ETH BNT pool. It was just ridiculous numbers. Even if we capture a small percentage of that, that's a huge amount of BNT that can be bought and burned and go straight towards alleviating the deficit. Like, Will, when you were saying, you're not sure if you are looking too far out or not looking out far enough. I know we've spoken about this as well. But I think when we actually step back and think about the 50-50 and the amount of potential that we actually have, it's huge. And I just wanted to, point that out to everybody. I know we did it on a previous call, but that's a huge amount of volume and a good amount of profit that we can capture within our own, DAO and keep within our protocol. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
Yo, quick question for Kevin. What's the attitude for the future? Like, I think this is kind of also what Paper Street was asking. Like, are we gonna monitor this and see how this 50-50 split goes? Like, what's our actual, what would we be happy with, I guess? And like, is this something you plan on tinkering with, or is this 50-50 very high confidence in it and we're just gonna like set it and kind of forget it?
No, I think we absolutely should monitor the results, and as a DAO, look to see if it needs adjustment over time. It's really interesting because when the gas is very low, then that 50% is way more than enough. But when the gas spikes, all of a sudden the transactions are very expensive, and even like a or 200 BNT ARB might not pay for itself. So it's interesting, and we'll have to see over time what it needs to be. But that being said, just as a educated guess, I think we can feel pretty comfortable that 50% is a good starting point.
Cool. And do you think we'll have like some kind of monthly report or analytics kind of for the result? Is that what you're thinking moving forward? Or
specifically about the like profit? I mean, probably. The answer is probably to
okay.
to both of those.
I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily focus on profit, but just overall stats, because I've been, like a lot of other community members, just been following along with these flash loans, and it's like very frequent, very exciting, and
it is exciting.
Just wanted to know if we could look forward to kind of some kind of whatever quarterly report or something on performance.
Just like the ARB stats that are included in the proposal, Tyler, is what you're asking.
Yeah.
Number of transactions,
exactly.
and unique callers, right?
So yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so everybody vote on that. If you have a question in the meantime, please, ping anybody, any of the contributors. Definitely ping Kevin. He's going to be the one to best answer any of your questions. Otherwise, if you haven't looked at the proposal, it's up there on Snapshot. It has all the details. It's the number of transactions, unique callers, the total amount burnt, BNT burnt, the volume in BNT. It has all of those stats there that Tyler was kind of asking about, moving forward. So please look at that. Please read through the comments and the discussion, and definitely vote on it. It's an off day. Normally, discussions go up on Wednesday, everything's on Snapshot Sunday, so it's not something that we're really accustomed to. If you speak to other DAO members, please help spread the word and make sure that we all vote on this. Cool. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna echo what Will said, and just thank everyone involved in the development of this. I think at first I was like a little like, okay, that sounds interesting. I haven't seen that done in the market. To like seeing it come to fruition, and it's really impressive seeing the group effort that went into it from multiple contributors and even community members. So just thanks to Kevin and everyone that worked on it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll echo that also. I'm kind of with Tyler. When this was first put up on governance, it was interesting. I'm not sure I really grasped the scope of it. And as it continued, in development, we continued talking about it a little bit more. And I was asking all the questions that I was. And then on top of that, having the Twitter spaces with AgenFi and really seeing what our own stats were for Bancor, I think that's really when I started to get the bigger picture and to really understand how big this actually can be. So definitely a huge thank you to you guys. And again, something is better than zero. At the moment, all of that value is leaving the protocol. And so to keep whatever we can in there and to buy and burn BNT and to alleviate the deficit faster, I say, like, yay, thank you so much for putting so much into this. Kevin, that's to you and to everybody else on here as well.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank you so much. I definitely did not do it alone.
well, you know what? You're up here, so we're thanking you. You've kind of been like our spokesman for it. So for everybody that was involved, you know, it's a huge thank you. Will, did you want to add something? You unmuted as well.
Yeah, just one thing.
Mhm.
The way I'm placing this mentally within Carbon and Bancor, it's just another tool to make it more efficient. So it's kind of like
Absolutely.
a street sweeper that's picking up all the excess that may have fallen to the side, and so that's the really interesting part to me. Of it's just kind of it's a great tool to just it's easily bolted on to whatever product Bancor has going forward too. You know, including Carbon, but also, you know, whatever may be you know, forward out. But I like those things. It's so I just kind of wanted to share like how I'm viewing it. It just I'm really a big fan of this, so I'm excited to see how it runs.
Thank you so much. Kevin, thank you for getting up here. I know it was a little last minute for you to join. I know you were going to try to, and you weren't sure if you were able to, and I appreciate you really making the time and being here with us and helping us kind of better understand what it is that you've been working on and the value that we, you know, within it.
You're very welcome. I'm really glad I was able to make it.
And Glenn, thanks for DJing again, and Will and Rick and Tyler and Asaf, thanks so much for joining us up here. One last time, don't forget to vote on this. I believe, let's take a look at the proposal right now. I think it is, today is the 22nd, the 25th is our end date. So we've got 3 days for this to happen. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope that it does. My own personal take. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have the coffee break on Friday. So if you haven't joined, definitely do. And if you have, I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you guys.
Thanks for hosting, Jen. Take care, everybody.
Of course.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.